Real Madrid are flying high from their recent win against Celtic. We won 5-1. We actually went for the kill and finally got a convincing victory after a rough couple of weeks. And but now it is time to go and focus back into La Liga because we are only 2 points clear of the top, and one more slip up could cost us the top spot before the World Cup commences. So we really need to be switched on for this upcoming game against Rayo Vallecano, which is on Monday. So let's get right into it. And welcome back, guys. We are here with our usual panel. Javier is over there. Farooq, it's been a while since we've seen you. It was at least since I've seen you. So how are you doing now?
Yeah, man, I'm doing just good, man. I'm doing fine, fine, fine.
Okay. And me and Javier, we covered the Celtic game yesterday. We were like in a really good mood. But now
Yeah.
it is time to focus back into La Liga. And how do you like? What is your general feel about this one, Javier? Uh,
Um, this is gonna be the last push before the World Cup. So, as you said, yesterday was a very good result to go to this last step. You know, usually Madrid tends uh, to uh, to relax in this kind of games, but I think that the result for yesterday will help us to move on to this last week, this Monday and then Thursday, I think.
yeah, yeah. It is Monday and Thursday. Well, we in our last La Liga game we didn't do well. Do you think we will get a favorable result, especially after all of the controversies with the referee? So, do you think that will have any bearing on the game, Farouk?
I mean, you can have shitty referees, but I mean, you can complain as much as you want, But in the game against Girona, there's only one person to blame, and it's the Real Madrid starting 11 with their manager as well. I mean, no matter how much there is an error from the ref or what is not, you guys had, chances. You guys had, situations where you could have killed the game off, but you guys chose not to do that. So, I mean, there's only so much the ref can do, in all honesty.
Yeah, well, it we could understand like certain calls that the referee made. I'm not going to justify anything for the referee, but especially with the handball stuff. I mean, not the handball, like the goalkeeper saving it on the line and then Rodrigo tapping that in, like that was justifiable. But the other one, the penalty that we conceded, that was really controversial, and it is going to be a talking point, especially if end up dropping points, and we're going to say, hey, we ended up losing our top spot because of the referees in La Liga. So we just want to make sure that we, don't fall into the same situation in this game, and kill it off in the early part, uh, hopefully. But looking at our squad, we seem to have all of our starters back, especially new faces like Ceballos was really refreshing to see in the UCL. So, do you think he will have a part to play in these next coming games, or will all of our starters be, starting these two games? You can go ahead, Javier. What do you think?
Well, I don't know if Ceballos will start, but definitely he will play a few minutes for against Rayo, and probably if he's fit, he's gonna play probably the whole match against Cadiz, because as you know, as you said, it was the last game right before the World Cup. Ceballos is not going to play the World Cup. So for him, he has nothing to lose in terms of the Spanish competition, but in terms of his place for Real Madrid, it will be so much important. So Yeah, I think Ceballos is going to start, but not going to start. Sorry, but he's going to play, and I think we're going to see the starting lineup. The the 11 that Ancelotti is going to play for the big games. I think he's going to start against Rayo, and we'll see how the game develops. But I think there's no relaxing point at this moment. The as you said, the game against Girona, and I agree with Farouk. Even if the referees make mistakes or intentional or unintentional, it doesn't matter. You need to win. So against a relegation team, you need to win in your house. There's no excuse. Yeah, it's a handball. It's not a handball. The goalkeeper has the ball. We need to move on because this is the kind of games that if you don't move quickly enough, will be the like this um, this cascade of bad results. Like it happens to Barcelona, no? They cry about the game against Inter in Italy, and then that synergy ruined their Champions League expectations. So it's not the same. We are top of the league, but we need to keep our mind again away from the Girona game and really focus on Rayo. Rayo is a very good team in this moment, and we need to respect them and like we did yesterday. If we can play the whole 90 minutes like this is the last game of the season, we need to see them as a very important rival. Not in the the cap the expenses, but in terms of it's a rival from the city, and it's a derby, and all derbies are important.
Absolutely, like well said. If Zidane was manager at this moment, he would say, "We have two finals to play before the World Cup." Yeah, and this is exactly what we expect from the players as well. Hopefully, Ancelotti instills the same urgency that he had the players play against Celtic, and we carry over that form into the next two games. But speaking about Rayo, they are in a good run of form, so they are ninth in the league. Uh, they have played 12 games, same as us, but the last four games they are unbeaten, having won the last two games as well. So I believe like this wouldn't be a similar game to Girona. Like we might have even more of a fight back from Rayo, especially if we score and then as we tend to do in these kind of games, we try to manage the game and then the opponent just comes back in because of our shitty defense. And with players like Radamel Falcao, Fran Garcia, who's a really dangerous left back, we could potentially see an upset. But Farooq, what do you think? Like, is this a really manageable game if we have all of our starters playing?
I mean, it is a really manageable game, but then the question now becomes is because I wasn't able to see the whole game against Celtic yesterday. I was on the way, so I just was watching intermittently. Uh, I, the one thing that actually came to my mind mostly was that we were so fluid on the ball against Celtic. And there were times where even Celtic also had 10 men behind the ball, but we were finding spaces, we were able to, go into pockets and come out and, what is and what is not. But against Girona, it wasn't the case at all. We weren't able, to find those, spaces, exploit those channels and what is not. But just, as you reiterated, like, this is a Rayo team which is from the team, which is from the same city as our team as well. So it's it's a local derby. In addition to that, like they're undefeated in four, and the interesting key thing there will be that that four also includes Sevilla and Atletico Madrid as well, and both away games, they defeated Sevilla, they drew at with the Atleti at the Wanda. So I mean that's and also let's add go a bit back and also add the draw with Barca at the Camp Nou as well, So or let's say Spotify Camp Nou as well, So it's not a team to take lightly, to be honest. And as you just pointed out, like with the fullbacks, not just Frank Garcia, also, like with Florian Ajun as well. If I'm not mistaken, I think he has 3 goals this season, highest goal scorer in the team as well. So it's not a team to take lightly. And it's one of those teams that I think, although they're playing at home as well, like it's gonna be, try to nick a goal early, either through one of their strikers, whoever it is that plays, and just try to shut up shop and withstand as much pressure as they can and see how it goes. Because like all their draws with these teams has been goalless draws. Like I mean they played with the shit shit house remaster. Diego Simeone, and they walked out a 0-0 draw. So I mean that's not an easy thing. Similar to Barca, a 1-0 defeat, a 1-0 victory against Sevilla as well. So I mean that tells us that these are masters of one goal and shut up the shop kind of thing. So it's I expect to see a lot of that 11 men behind the ball and very physical battles in the midfield here and there. But let's be a bit more optimistic and hope that like our players can find spaces such as they did with with Celtic. And to be honest, like I know myself and Javier, like we've really bashed Marco Asensio a lot, but for the bits I saw in the game yesterday, I mean the man was really really very very smart with his decision making. I mean whether it's been a pass that opens up a space or dropping in deep or linking up the play. To be honest, I was really really impressed with the bits I saw from him yesterday. At least just as I said, I didn't watch the game in whole, but I just watched here and there. And to be honest, I felt like maybe he might have been, the key difference between the game at the weekend and the Celtic match as well.
Interesting point. I would say, like, just reading Ancelotti's match quotes, he even said that Asensio was his man of the match because he was finding spaces for other teammates. Even from deep, he was creating like
Exactly.
really, really good
Exactly.
chances. Yeah.
Yep. 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 I don't know. I would like to hear Javier's thoughts on that as well.
Well, Farouk, I said it yesterday. Maybe I'm starting to eat in my words, but in a good way, like
Yeah.
this is
Exactly.
this is the
Exactly.
Asensio that we need. I said yesterday with
Yep.
Jacob, like the audio Asensio didn't prove me wrong. This Asensio proved me wrong.
Yeah.
So it's good for us that
Yeah.
Asensio is in this part of the season starting to understand his place in the team. So maybe we like we only have 2 games left, but I think he's gonna go to the World Cup and
Yeah.
maybe he will be relevant in the second part of the season. You know, I I'm I wasn't expecting this. I said it in the first part of the season. I didn't want him to wear a white shirt, and I said it in those words. But I mean, is if the guy proves me wrong, well, better for us, no, right? But
Definitely.
I
Definitely.
think I mean, Ancelotti said that he was man of the match. I'm not agreed. I think Fede was man of the match, but I understand why Carlos said that.
Yeah.
He said it because he needs to be this moral boost and understand that what Carlos said basically was like, essentially, this is your position. This is the kind of football that we need from you. Like. Uh, just palm me the back and good job. And and I think he's gonna start on Monday.
Hmm.
Really?
Maybe he will rest someone like probably Vini or Rodrigo and start with Asensio, obviously Benzema, and one of the Brazilians.
Mm. Like that is high praise. Trying to bench Rodrigo or Vinny in place of Asensio, it's like a really good thing.
Not for the bench. I mean they will rest.
Mm.
Some of the we saw it yesterday. It was the earliest substitution for Vini, I think, in the whole season. He was like I don't know, 60 minutes, 65 minutes, and I think that being said, I think he's gonna rest Rodrigo just because he played the whole game yesterday. So that's the only reason. It's not for the performance. I think Rodrigo is great this season, but I also think Vini's been doing great. So I think he's gonna rest one of them, and probably Rodrigo, and he needs to. Benzema needs to play. You know, he needs to be in better form, mentally strong for the World Cup because we said it yesterday. He's not like this is not the Ballon d'Or Benzema. I think this Benzema is on his 60-70% of his potential.
Mm.
So Javier, we have a comment in the chat actually. So let me just go to the last one. He says like our mics are bad. Actually, he says Javier and Farouk stellar job, but your mics are not loud enough. Before that, actually, he also says like Madrid playing on Mondays is with early kickoff. It's just human rights violation. And then he says Asensio isn't the issue. Asensio's talent isn't the issue. It's his consistency that has been the issue. He plays a good 2 games and then he becomes a ghost for the next 10 games. Okay. Ashik, I don't know if you're hearing me now. And I just tried to increase the volume of my mic and also my voice. I hope the voice comes out really better now. Thanks for the info, by the way. Well, actually, to go to Ashik's point, I think that's a very, very valid point. I think that's also what myself and Javier have been also complaining about. The point is that we don't need a player that will just show for 2 games and for the next 30 games become a ghost. But as Javier rightly pointed out, like I am very fine eating my words, man. It's not a problem. We can take our words back. It means that the man has performed for the team, and I know we all love the team. So like his performance for the team means a performance for us as well. So I mean that's more than good enough in my opinion as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And he said it perfectly. It's not in terms of his potential or his capabilities. It's in terms of his willingness to perform from the team, not from himself. So yeah, I think this Asensio maybe deserves to be renewed. This Asensio,
I see,
because we're not gonna find someone in his age gap and salary wise that give this kind of like individual performance. I said yesterday to Jacob, I think maybe the comparison is harsh, but I think it's almost like when Lucas Vasquez understands his role and he's not good enough to be a right wing, but he's good enough to be the backup from Carvajal. So Asensio probably knows that he's not good enough to be the right wing or left wing because we have Vini and Rodrigo. But if he understands that he's not the starting in the wings, but a very key important player, so good for him. He's not gonna find a better team than Real Madrid, and he knows that. He knew that in the summer. That's the reason that he didn't go to anywhere. Like no one better than Real Madrid offers him in terms of money, in terms of like the starting position. So maybe it was a wake-up call for him. Like maybe I'm not as good as I think I was, and maybe I'm need to understand and be a key player. I mean he's still young. I think he's like 26, 27. So if he keeps this performance, he could be a player for the next 5 years or so.
Yeah, and we have Alfredo in the comments saying Asensio can, really hit it for Madrid. So do we have some Asensio fans down in the comments, guys? So even if it's a rare sight to see, they are there and they exist. So I did adjust the volume for you guys. So hopefully that should have solved the problem. So I just boosted your volumes. And I think it's coming out clearer than before. Anyways, I think we inadvertently got into like predictions for our starting lineup when we talked about Asensio. So we mentioned that Asensio might be given a start because of his good performance, and either one of Vinny or Rodrigo is going to get a rest. But we have to remember, guys, like this is a strong Rayo team, and then we just can't afford to lose points. So probably Vinny will start because we absolutely really, really need him. But with Ben's back, we can hopefully give Rodrigo some rest. However, like one thing to note is like Rodrigo won't have an important part to play in the World Cup, in my opinion, and it's going to be Vinny who is going to start it in like most games for Brazil. So that might also be taken into account when selecting the starting line. So Farouk, like, what is your opinion? Like, will we see Benz, Vinny, and Asensio, or are we gonna see Rodrigo on the pitch?
Honestly, I'd prefer to see Rodrigo actually on the pitch, and I'd love to see Vini on the bench. But before that, I'll just take you up on your statement that you don't think Rodrigo will have a very important role to play. But then I actually kind of see what happened last season. With Rodrigo not being an important member of the starting 11. but being the most important member of the rotation, and the rotation was what won us the Champions League last year. So I think for Brazil, that might also have a very similar impact, to be honest. I mean, with Rodrigo coming off the bench, and we know what Brazil can do, and their attack and what is and what is not. But I think Rodrigo can give them similar to what he gave us last year. But anyways, going back to your question, I would love to see Vini get benched, because even the last time for the game against I think Girona, yeah, we discussed, I think, and I was saying, like, I think Vini needs a rest, a total rest. So I'm thinking, because we have game Monday, Thursday, so I think away to Rayo might be a chance, to bring him up off the bench, and I think it's gonna be really good. But I actually think that's just my fantasy. I think it's just gonna be Benzema and Vinicius Junior, which maybe Rodrigo on the bench or something like that. So yeah, I think that's not gonna happen. But I would love to see Vini on the bench for this game.
Absolutely. And okay, I guess that takes care of our, thoughts on our starting lineups especially for the attack. Moving on to the midfield. So last game we saw Cruz have an imperial performance once again, Montes as well, and it was Valverde who played in the CM spot. So do you guys think Xiaomeni has lost his spot for the team in the team since Asensio is playing so well? I'll come to you, Javier.
No. Tchouaméni is one of the starting men in. If he's fit, I think maybe just Courtois is the first one on the sheet, and I think Tchouaméni is the second one, because of the terms that the game that we play, we need someone like him. We struggle against Girona because he wasn't in the pitch, I think. Not in terms of we didn't need to his defense ability, but his position in the field was so much needed. And I don't know, I'm not sure if he's gonna be fit for Monday, but knowing that Kroos is suspended, I think we'll start with someone like probably like more attacking center field with Modric and Camavinga and Fede, I will say, because it will be the job for Eduardo to replace Tchouaméni if Tchouaméni doesn't fit. If Tchouaméni is fit, I think he's gonna play Tchouaméni, Modric, Fede. But for your question, no, I think Tchouaméni's place in this team is he's undisputable.
Yeah,
I totally agree with that, to be honest. Like, even if Tchouaméni goes off form, I think the man is a furniture in the middle of the pitch, man. Like, similar to how Casemiro also, he had no replacement. So whether you like it or not, like, because I could remember, if you guys know, like in the 18 months previous, like before, towards the end of last season, like Casemiro was really, really, I wouldn't say bad, but the levels dropped. You understand? But we had no other alternative. So whether you like it or not, the 50% of what Casemiro gives you is more than enough. It's similar to, I think that's also what Javier was trying to point out, that the point is 50%, okay, not 50%, well, let's say 70 to 80% of what Tchouaméni gives you is more than enough, at least for now, because there is no other replacement and there is no player like him on the pitch. So I think there is nothing we can do about. But I'm actually really glad, that he's getting. So I think for one of the games he was injured or he was sick or something like that, and for the other one he was just rested. So I mean, it's nice to see, because with France also having issues in the midfield now, Tchouaméni is going to be a very prominent member in the middle of the park. So I mean, he should get as much rest as he can get.
absolutely. And like Ashish says in the comments, like one underrated part of Chomini is his positioning when we go on attack, because he just doesn't like drop deep and try to wait for the ball. He actually goes forward. He goes in between the lines and tries to play those 1-2s or release a really good through ball. So if he doesn't play, we might really miss him in this fast-paced game against Rayo. So yeah, Farooq. So who are your starting midfielders for this game?
I will go with Tchouaméni, Kroos, and Modric.
Kroos is not gonna play.
Yeah, Kroos is
Oh,
suspended.
sorry. Yeah, sorry. Kroos got his first red card, right? So and then, well, we that sounds quite interesting actually, because to be honest, Camavinga hasn't been, as lightning as he was last year. So I'm kind of now tempted to bring Fede drop to midfield and And but then why not Dani Ceballos though? I don't know if he's fully fit. Why not try for Dani Ceballos in place of Tony Cross? I mean, it's just a gamble. If it works in the first half, fine. If it doesn't work in the second half, because you can bring on what's it called, Eduardo Camavinga, and you're back to your old self. I don't know what you guys think about that.
For me, I would say if Xiaomini starts, then Valverde and Modric have it, man. Like they'll take up the rest of the spots. We won't try to bring back Ceballos too soon to the game. Like closing out a game against Celtic is one thing, but you really need to be super fit to take on a game against Rayo. So especially in the first half. And I would say the starting spot is going to go to those two, and Ceballos and Camavinga, they can come on soon. But in case Xiaomini doesn't make it and then we decide to rest him more of some other reason, then of course we have no other option but to start Ceballos. But in that,
I mean, isn't it weird, though? Like, that Tony Cross is suspended, man. I mean, it's so weird.
It's weird, and I think it's almost unfair. Like I I didn't think the second yellow card was a second yellow card.
I think
This
for me,
is
actually,
the
it was the first. The first yellow card seems very unnecessary, but the second yellow, I think, was. I mean, I could not say anything about that, honestly.
but it's like I mean, probably I'm biased, but is the you need to know who's the player doing the foul. I mean, almost all referees said it. Like it wasn't a like Papu Gomez kind of foul. Like this is one.
Yeah.
It's only a tackle in the I was 88 minutes, something like that, and you know that Tony has a yellow card, so maybe just because wasn't that kind of a big counter attack. Sorry, for Girona. I mean, and he was his first yellow card in almost what something like 750 games. I mean, this is the kind of thing that man Tony should be so annoyed because
Yeah.
it's a stain in your perfect sheet. Almost no players had this. Even Modric has red cards. Like
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad, uh, but what else can we say? Like not being Tony wasn't on the pitch because of that red card. It seems weird. Like even you,
Yeah.
Farouk, didn't remember that, and you put it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It was just second nature. Well, actually, to your point, Javier, I'd assume that like when you were getting your first red card, you would get a red card because like the Valverde situation with Morata in the Super Cup, like it was a last ditch tackle and for winning the game and all that. I mean, for that, I would say okay, yeah, that was my red card. But like
Yeah,
seeing Cross's red card, like it was really like I mean, yeah, man, it's not something that you want. It's a stain, yeah, totally, it's a stain.
yeah, but it is what it is.
Exactly, man. Unfortunately.
it is what it
So
is. Like,
what? Almost. Sorry, I didn't. I don't think that Ceballos is going to start because, as you said, Jacob, the thing is he's not fully fit, and we need to remember we play in Vallecas. Vallecas is not a good stadium for us. We almost every season struggle, and they draw against the other two city derbies. They draw against Getafe and also draw against Atletico, and they draw against Barcelona. So just you guys said it. We need to put our best 11, and maybe if the second half is resolved, I doubt it because we never have this first half that good, and if we do, we tend to relax. But we need to be like you said it. This is the first final, and I think this is the hardest game left. Cadiz in home is almost I wouldn't say a win guarantee, but so much easier than Rayo in Vallecas. This Rayo usually struggles in the relegation, and now they seem to be almost a contender for an a conference league or something like that. That would be huge for them.
Yeah, did they come close to that last season, especially in the first half of the season? Like they were doing really well, but then they do drop off because of a lack of depth. But yeah, like I said, we must be careful. So yeah, you guys wanna go down to the defense. So last game we missed Rudiger. Do you think they're gonna see him back, Farouk?
Yeah, I think we might see Tony Rudiger in this game. I think, yeah. Actually, because as everyone is calling out for, although I'm not a huge fan of that, like the thing about the physicality of the attackers, and people tend to believe that Rudiger might be the best 1v1 defender that's on the team. Although I do think that, as I've said before, like no matter who's on our defense, the clean sheet doesn't work. And as you guys could see against Celtic, so I think we're 5-0 up, but we still conceded one at the end. So I mean, it's just part and parcel of the parcel. Just that's one brain fart, I would say. That one switch off or whatever it is will always happen. But yeah, I'll just still expect, the usual suspects, Danny Carvajal, Ferland Mendy as well for this game. I would expect Ferland Mendy. And then I don't know, maybe I would expect a Nacho or Tony Rudiger, one of them, to play with Militao or Alaba, so depending on who is who. But I would expect, one of the usual suspects to drop out. So that's either Militao or Alaba, and one of the other guys to drop in, like either Nacho or Rudiger.
Okay, interesting take because Farouk had a really more interesting take yesterday. He was saying that Alaba's best position is not as a CB but as a left back. So in this game, like, do you think it's a fair shout out for Alaba to play left back and Militao and Rudiger can play CBs and provide that solidity in the air and in defense that we really know?
Javier was saying so?
Yeah, Javier said
I see.
left back it is the best position, second as a CB, and then third as a CDM.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, so the thing is this, I think I said this also like to Suneda as well. Like the point is this, for me, in my opinion, this relationship at the fullback now is no longer as it used to be in the past, where you're just there to defend. Now you need to know where the person in front of you is, right? Okay. So what's happening right now is that Vinicius Jr. and Ferland Mendy have actually built an understanding whereby, Vini knows what Mendy is going to do and Mendy knows what Vini is going to do. He knows what he needs to do to cover for that and lack thereof. But for David Alaba, it's not so. And the point now becomes that David Alaba is such an assertive player that, he's just gonna go and impose himself. Unlike, Ferland Mendy, who is gonna be like, okay, like there's Vinicius in front of me, so I have to, I don't know, adjust and this and that. So I think that might be one of the reasons why it's not it's not very clear for David Alaba. But I would really, really love to keep David Alaba as a CB in my at Real Madrid right now. I mean, in the odd games where you need to, push forward and get attacking output and what is not, I'd play David Alaba. But I think for our team, as I've said at the beginning of the season, I think Militao and Rudiger is just a chaos waiting to happen. And I think maybe right now we're not seeing anything, but I just dread a Champions League quarterfinals or Champions League semis, and she can hit the fan. So I'd rather have, David Alaba there, Marshall in the defense, and what is not.
Okay, Javier, do you feel the same way? Like, do you think our most chaotic defensive pair is Militao and Rudiger or Militao and Alaba?
Well, I said it. I think I don't know, the first few games of the season. I said it that we cannot play with Militao and Rudiger together, but as it is now, I think this is the right partnership in the defense. I mean, we said it yesterday. I think Alaba needs to be uh, out of the 11 because I think Rudiger is in better form and Militao is in better form than Alaba. So I will play with both of them, and because also if that's the case, we're most certainly gonna draw out Falcao. You know, Falcao needs. It's the only like nine reference. He doesn't go in other places. He doesn't go down. So maybe with the presence of those two guys, I think we're gonna see Mendy and Carvajal. But I think the one that is gonna drop out for the starting 11 is gonna be Alaba. Just because I think Rudiger is in a better form in this season, in this part of the season.
true, but and one more thing to note is that Alaba has gotten literally zero rest because it's either been Militao or Rudiger swapping out for these odd games, and mostly Militao has started along with him, so we can potentially see Alaba getting rested here as well. I totally agree with Javier. We could see those two coming on, even though it's like it can cause a chaotic setting. I believe like they have enough quality in them to really switch it on when the time matters. So yeah, let's see.
But they have like this Marshall in the goalkeeping position. Like even if Alaba and Rudiger are chaotic, with a screen Courtois would, put them in their place. Courtois is that kind of guy, and we saw it in the conferences, in the press conference. I think it will be same in the pitch and also in the locker room. Like Courtois was like, you cannot both play the same kind of game. And I think that's one of the low key things that Courtois did. Sorry, that is, like talk to their players. Whoever is in front of him, respect and understand that when Thibaut says something, it needs to be done. It doesn't matter if it's Alaba, Rudiger, Nacho, Vallejo. It doesn't matter if he's in front of him in the wings. Like could be Carvajal, could be Lucas Vasquez. It doesn't matter. Like everyone respects Courtois because Courtois knows better. Like I mean, we said it. It's almost impossible for us to keep a clean sheet, but the only one that seems to be giving his 100% for that to be true is Courtois. So I think Ancelotti uh, said to the defense, you need to listen to your goalkeeper in every single thing that he says. You need to listen, and probably he talks to Rudiger and said like, "Man, Militao is younger than you, and he needs to understand this kind of position, but you know better. Like you have a longer career. You've been at Chelsea. You are starting for the German national team. You will be much better for this kind of not chaotic, but you need to be more center minded. I think with the right talk, Rudiger can be that guy.
Yeah, Rudiger can be that guy. What we know is Rudiger can't be a left back, but he, but hopefully Ancelotti sees that as well, and just doesn't start him randomly. But yeah, I guess we've discussed all of our starting lineups. Let's see, like the midfield is going to be interesting depending on who Ancelotti decides to give a rest. But the attackers and the defense, like we must see the most of the starting guys. And all right, like you want to get into the match predictions. So, Farooq, who do you think is going to win, and what is the scoreline going to be?
I'd go for a tight 2-1 victory. I mean, a tight 2-1 because like I about the clean sheet thing is just so tantalizing to be honest. So I'd go for a tight 2-1 thing. Yeah.
Hmm, interesting. But do you see the goals coming up from the midfield or the attack? Is Ben's going to score?
Uh, I'd say Fede again. One goal from Fede, and yeah, why not? Let's give Karim Benzema something.
Fair point.
Yeah, let's boost up his morale.
Yep, yep. He needs it before the World Cup. And
Yeah, exactly.
Javier, how about you? What's the prediction?
My prediction will be 1-3, scoring Fede, Benzema, and Asensio.
Oh, okay. So we're backing on Asensio to start. What if Asensio comes on as a sub? Do you still see him scoring?
Yeah, I mean, it will probably be easier to him to score if he wasn't starting. I think he has better options if he's one of the substitutions, but I back up my mind. I think he's gonna start.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a fair assessment. And for me, it's really hard for me to, say Real Madrid are gonna get a clean sheet. But I feel like I mean, that match is going to be the match that we finally get a clean sheet because the players are going to know that it's going to be really important that they don't slip up in La Liga. Even if we had like lost against Celtic, that wouldn't be the end of the world. But at this point in La Liga, this is a really hard game to lose. So I am pretty sure the players will be turned on, and which is why I'm gonna say we're gonna see a clean sheet for the first time this month.
Hmm. That's a very big take, man. But then I love your optimism, man.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be a solitary goal because I trust in Rayo's defense as well, like because of their previous results. So it's gonna be a tight 1-0 victory.
Okay, that as I said, that's a very bold take. But then yeah, I'll take the clean sheet, man. I'll take the clean sheet all day.
Let's hope. All right. Do you guys have any closing points to make, Javier, Farouk?
Yeah, we need to start getting the points, man. We can't drop points anymore. We've dropped against Girona. We need to close out till the World Cup at the top of the league, to be honest.
Yeah. Javier, do you see Barcelona dropping any points in these next two games?
I don't know who they play against. Do you have the?
Yeah, let me pull that up. Barcelona are playing Osasuna and Espanyol.
Who?
Oh, no, 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 no. My bad. It is Almeria and Osasuna.
So Almeria definitely not. Almeria is not. Okay, but maybe Osasuna. I don't know if they play in Pamplona or they play in Barcelona, but because Osasuna has been so they're
Good
being
until you.
tough in their case. So if they play in Pamplona, I will say that probably that's the only game that they could probably lose some points, maybe a draw or something like that. But I really don't think so. I think it's like almost like 10%, 15% possibilities of them almost draw a draw. They not gonna lose, and they will keep this form until the end of season. You know, like some guys I said this will be almost a 100 point season for both of the teams. You know, this will be one of the highest scoring points to be champion in
Champion.
this.
Mm.
I mean, I don't see him. I don't saw them dropping points.
Yeah, it is gonna be easier games for Barcelona since they play in the Europa League. Like, I just can't get enough of saying that. But yeah, so it is gonna be their league to lose as well. Like, it is on us to, really keep up our form and keep up with Lewandowski, which is the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, this is almost the only guy that is playing for them at this moment. You know,
Mm.
the only one that if it wasn't for Lewandowski, I will say they will have like almost 9 to 10 points less because a lot of games that's the only player that it seems to be the one that wants to be in a winning team. You know, in Champions League, he was the one that saves them from Inter, and last week against Valencia. I mean, that guy it's unstoppable, right? And I'm worried because I'm gonna play Poland in the World Cup, so I'm not I'm not happy with his form right now.
Yep. Hard to play, man. Hard to play. So yeah, I guess we'll give a shout out to Ashik in the comments who has kept us company. Hi, Sunil as well. There was one more guy, yeah, Alfredo. Thanks for joining us in the comments and for listening to our podcast. Make sure if you're still around to give a like or and subscribe to our channel because we need those subs for the algorithm and to keep us motivated to keep on going because uh, we are like a really multicultural team. Javier and me, we're almost 12 hours apart on the uh, time. And then Farouk is also a really busy guy, to keep us going. And please make sure you give a like and a subscribe. And also to follow on our socials, on our Twitter and on Instagram. So the links for those are down in the comment section. And you should also follow Real Madrid Committee's Instagram, which is a really cool place for Real Madrid content on Instagram. So do check those out. Send some love, guys. And Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.
Okay.